Hi everyone, it's Jonathan with the Security Pod. Just filming this quick bit before our episode starts. So we film our episodes through Zoom, and since Brad and I are not in the same area, and I sort of screwed up on the format. So instead of your usual where you see Brad and myself, you're just gonna see it switch back and forth based on, I guess, priority on who's talking. That was not what we intended to do. I didn't realize. Um, Sorry, we're security professionals first, and then the video and Zoom podcast guys next. So bear with us on this episode. I will not make that mistake again. Enjoy. Hey everyone, it's Jonathan.
And Brad?
And this here isn't coffee, it's chocolate milk, because secretly I'm a child. So what are we going to be talking about today, Brad?
Tourniquets.
Tourniquets? And why?
Medical gear. Well, because you don't want to bleed out.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Security Pod. Once again, I'm Jonathan.
And Brad.
And today we're going to be talking about tourniquets. Why? Because we, in the security industry, need to talk about other things other than use of force that I keep seeing. Don't get me wrong, very important. However, that seems to be the only thing I see talked about in this industry. And one of the main things about this show is to talk about other things, because other things are just as important, such
Absolutely.
as not bleeding out and dying.
That's absolutely right. I know how important it is to a lot of people to talk about those, use of force and powers of arrest stuff. But I think more often than not, you're going to be more apt to be dealing with medical stuff, customer service stuff, communications. We want to be well-rounded security professionals. So it's important that we talk about all the other things that we do too.
Exactly. So right now we're actually going to be starting with a video, sort of reminding of us of that old format we do. It's not going to be a long episode, but we're going to be showing a video of it was a shooting that happened in Atlanta during a protest sometime back in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. And well, let's just take a look at it and spot. Let's see how many things we can spot wrong with it. Are you ready, Brad?
I am.
All right, let's take a look at it now.
Pew, 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 pew. Oh, fuck, get down, get down.
Oh yeah, sorry for the coarse language.
You hit? She's hit? She's hit?
Viewer discretion is advised.
She's hit.
Yes.
It almost hit me. It almost hit me. Hey, call the ambulance. Hey, get her. Hey, she's hit. Someone's hit. Stop. That shit's getting right by me. No, it's in her leg. Hold on.
In the leg.
Tie
For getting
right
hit,
here.
she's very calm.
Yeah, she's shot.
Yeah.
We don't know who, man.
It's the guy in the fucking.
Who got some rag? Hey, can you use your do-rag or something around her?
Use a do-rag.
He went
Okay.
that way.
I mean, direct pressure. Ooh, she's got a
That
tourniquet.
shit
Perfect.
went right by me and hit her.
Oh,
That shit went
Wait,
right by
what?
me and hit her in the leg.
don't do that.
She's shot. A girl is shot. Stop shooting. A girl is shot. Stop shooting. God damn it.
That was the exact opposite of what he wanted.
Oh, you
Correct.
P? Watch out. Watch out.
All right, looks like she's putting on a seatbelt. Maybe she'll put it on correctly.
A girl got shot.
No!
Bad language.
Tisk. Ooh.
Turning it. They're tying it. They're not using the windlass at all.
Yeah, the tourniquet.
This makes my heart beat.
Yes.
Get her to the hospital. Get her bag. Is this your bag? Is this your bag? Okay. Keep it close to you. Keep it close to you. Y'all got a tourniquet on it? Yeah. Did y'all hear that bullet go right past?
Ah,
I'll start. Take my AirPod out.
lace eye.
Yeah. So what we just saw was a tourniquet being put on someone, but I wouldn't say the tourniquet was applied. Or honestly, that tourniquet may as well have never been there. It was physically put on the leg, but it did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Let's explain that. So, I got
I don't I don't think they even ratcheted that thing down.
They did not at all. So I've got here's a 511 brush tool bag with a nice Pathfinder tactical patch on it. You can check out Pathfinder EDC on Instagram. Got good stuff there, and also on Facebook. But more importantly, what I've got inside here, I actually want to get a color that matches the bag. But I've got here is a cat tourniquet in a 1110 folder. So I'm just gonna sort of show what they did. So obviously I'm gonna do this part here, which makes me cry a little every single time I see it. So, and I won't ruin this tourniquet though. So, you know what? Let me show how you're supposed to apply it first. So, have it on. Say I've got one hand, so I'm just gonna use just like the snub part here. Put it on. Pull up the this part here. Bring it down, high and tight. And then you're gonna turn the windlass. I'm just gonna turn it once because I don't feel like actually losing circulation. And then put it on here, right to time. Obviously, you do actually really want to turn it tight. One thing people will notice when they're practicing is it hurts. Well, yeah, essentially what you're doing is you're cinching down your arm to a point where your veins and arteries are so compressed that blood is no longer flowing through them. So that's essentially just a quick way of how I put it on there. So I'm not going to exactly stage it correctly here simply because I don't think they did in that video.
No. Let's
sort of go over what they did here. So I'm going to put it on my arm, obviously, instead of on my leg. So we've got it over this part here. First thing that's wrong, I see people do it. It makes me sad a bit, but honestly, it's one of the, you know, at least if you know how to put it on properly, this is, you know, seconds count, but it's not the worst possible thing you can do, but I would not recommend it at all.
No.
So they, instead of just taking this off, this is actually important, by the way, and I'll explain that why in a sec, or after. She just rips it off. This is not supposed to come off. This is how far it's supposed to come to. So then sort of just, doesn't just open the tourniquet, but just sort of undoes it completely because, you know, why would you need to, you know, come to think of it now, I'm not entirely sure how they tied this, probably around like that. So they put it on the arm like that. They didn't, I'm not entirely sure if they wrapped it through, but this windlass is here for a reason. I'm sure you saw me tighten it up. I'm supposed to tighten up more than that one revolution I did there, but this is what actually causes the pressure and the tightening on this tourniquet. There's actually an internal structure within this band, and that's what causes the strength there. So, but nope, let's just not use it at all because clearly they have not taken the stop the bleed course, and let's just try to tie it up. So I'm going to actually try to tie it up as hard as I can. I realize now a little bit of a disadvantage because I am doing this with an arm. So let's put it down through here. Okay, close enough. No pressure on this at all. This is physically on my arm, but it's not doing anything. So that's annoying me now. So what's wrong with that entire scenario, Brad?
So many things. I'm going to start off with something that I think a lot of people are going to miss is the high quality construction of the cat tourniquet. I don't know if that was a real cat tourniquet or not. I would go so far to say is how well this is attached here on the back. The fact that she was able to rip off the time stamp tells me that it was probably just a counterfeit knockoff one that was probably bought on eBay or Amazon for cheap.
Yeah.
And the training is so important. So one of the things is you can only have these on for so long, and that's what this time bubble here is for. For me, when I carry mine, I like to carry a big old fat Sharpie because you know, as Jonathan mentioned, you don't want to start off like this. One of the problems is you're going to lose some of your fine motor skills And grabbing this Velcro, if it's done down and done hard, is probably going to be pretty challenging to get that off in a stressful situation. So that's why it's really important to prep it. That's why it's really important to have big, easy, usable objects will allow you to be successful in that stressful situation. So I'll start off with that. The windlass or the windlass, depending on how you pronounce it. I mean, it is spelt with an A, but windlass. It's there for a reason. It allows you to cinch that thing down really tight. We all have different bone structure, and we all have different size legs, thighs, arms, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's got a very specific purpose, and it requires a little bit of training to go along with it. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
training
available in very many places, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Funny thing about that, Brad and I are both Stop the Bleed instructors.
That's right. So, I'm certified through 2 organizations to teach that too. So the course is both the same, but you know what I mean? There's so many things to talk about when we talk about, bleeding control, hemorrhagic bleeding, hemorrhagic shock. It's not just the tourniquet you want to be aware of. So I got my cat there, I've got my SOF. I like both of them. If I had to pick one of the two, I really like the SOF. It's just, for me, it's a little easier to use. I don't think one's better than the other, but you also want to think things like shock. So, these emergency blankets are really important.
Yep.
If you don't know what shock is, it's the lack of oxygen to tissues and cells. And if you've taken a first aid course, you should know almost anything will cause shock. So we always treat for shock no matter what the situation is.
Yeah, and obviously tourniquet in that situation is not the end all be all. So on this side of my bag, where a tourniquet, or on the other side, I've got just basic, bleeding control pouch. So I've got compressed gauze here.
Yep.
Got for me, I've got Celox Rapid hemostatic cold gauze.
Yep. Got a pack of that here too.
Perfect. I have regular gloves in here too. I was issued these from my old job there. I just have them in here, but C-Tom's med gloves, and these are extra thick and they're tan because tactical.
Gotta be tactical.
And and there it is.
A blast bandage, or an Israeli bandage, or these things have all kinds of terms.
Yeah.
You know what? I got one here, just down here, that's wrapped up properly. In the package, should look a little something like this. It's vacuum sealed, which I think is really cool. You'll see it's pretty big. The vacuum seal, it shrinks it down a little bit, makes it a little easier to throw it into your med pouch. But what I like here is, if you've ever played with a roller bandage and you open it up, it doesn't do this, right? Roller bandages, they tend to fall all the way to the ground. And if you get those dirty, it's like, oh, crap, I got to get another one out because now that one's useless. That's why I really like these. The extra Velcro, handy. You've got this little cup here, adds a little bit of extra pressure. And then this pouch here is filled with all kinds of extra absorbent material. So if you have an entrance, sorry?
Little portable Christmas present. Full of
That's right.
Surprise.
That's right. Surprise. You have 2 holes, not just one. So it allows you to treat an entrance and an exit wound.
Yeah.
And you just roll it out. It's also elasticy. So it allows you to get that deep compression that you're looking for. The tension compression.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, John. One of the things that I teach as a first aid instructor, when I talk about just bleeding in general, pressure, lots of direct pressure on the wound is really what you want. If you don't have any of these things, just get your body weight down on top of the wound and push as hard as you can. The bigger and heavier you are, the better.
Yeah. I'm not
better than nothing
yet. But definitely when I do teach, anything stop the bleed related, I always say first thing to go to while you're thinking about the next thing to do is apply pressure. You can't go wrong with that first.
Yep.
So, and then, obviously then you can look at whether you're going to be using some gauze, or you can say gauze, press gauze, tourniquet, right? So, but the most important thing to do is to at least act on the bleed as quick as possible. And direct pressure is usually pretty sufficient, actually, for most bleeds that I've personally dealt with. I've never even had to, in a actual in the field situation, apply tourniquet on someone, but I have had to use direct pressure on someone, and worked fine.
There you go.
Would recommend. Would do it again.
Now, I've had the unfortunate pleasure to have used one of these once. And I know you hear me advocate for this one a lot more than this. I'm not saying this is an inferior product. It's not. The Cat is a great tourniquet. I can't say enough good things about it. I just found, for me, in my experience, I like how just loosey-goosey, quick to open that is. I don't have to fumble with Velcro.
Yeah.
That was one thing that I found slowed me down a little bit because I was losing those fine motor skills. But
that's actually a very fair point.
Yeah.
Now,
but that's just my experience, right? Everybody's a little bit different. I know other people, they don't like this. They don't like how loosey-goosey this is. And that's fair too, right? You gotta learn what works for you. There are a bunch of different tourniquets out there that are approved. I unfortunately don't have the list on me, but if you go to the Tactical Combat Casualty Care Committee, they have a nice little list. But the common theme is they all have this windlass here, right? That's really the important part, is being able to really ratchet it down.
Yeah. And as I was saying earlier, there's actually, this isn't just like a strap. This strap's actually, I would say, technically hollow, and it's got an internal band, and that's what actually gives you that strength to tighten it down. And this band will not stretch at all, right? That's sort of where you're going to have that issue with the counterfeit products. I've had not the best products on certain things before, and I got away just fine with it. Flashlight or something.
Whoa.
I'm about to offend Flashlight Man. But don't worry, I've seen the light, Brad.
Okay, I hope so.
But it's this you can't. Those Amazon buys, I've seen them. I've seen the price. They look very tempting. You know what? I'm actually gonna I'll attach a link at the in this video here, in this episode of. I remember you saw that video with where they were trying a bunch of different counterfeit ones, and watch how many of those failed. Right? It's inferior products, right? It's the windlass or windlass.
Whoa.
Would bend, and this will not bend. This is plastic, but it will not bend.
So it's not actually plastic. It's actually glass-filled nylon material. It's like the same stuff the Glock is made out of. So it's plastic in nature, sure, but it's not like plastic like, I don't know, like a Nintendo cartridge.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right? It's not the same thing. It's absolutely not the same kind of plastic. So there's a lot more going on here.
Yeah.
This will withstand the extreme temperatures, the cold, the UV rays that normal plastics don't stand up to. So
and the same goes for the internal band in here. It's not seen, but it's just as it's an extremely important part of the structure of this tourniquet, right? So I've seen videos that band breaks. This material here that actually attaches the windlass will break, right? So only get the the actual the genuine Cat tourniquet or soft T or SOF or whatever mood you're in. If you're Brad, if you're going to say soft T or SOF, then
it's all the same.
Funny enough.
I'll say this too. You know what? I'm glad we're making this video when we are, because if you are in the know, this is actually, May is Stop the Bleed month. C. Tom's, a Canadian retailer in Edmonton. They're one of the importers of the both the soft T or SOFTT or the Cat. They bring them into Canada. So I know they have a sale on right now on all of these products, the bleeding control stuff, chest seals, the blast bandages, the sea locks, tourniquets, etc. Go check them out. I'm sure we can fire a link into the video as well.
Firing a link for the the CTOM's website.
Yeah, they got a deal going on right now. I have a couple of contacts there, so maybe that's something we can explore down the road.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
always love hooking up our members with something at least.
Absolutely.
You're still generous enough to offer us CSPN members and viewers 10% off all of their products except for duty bags and boots.
Yep.
Check that out.
That's password. What is the CSPN?
Yeah, the coupon code is CSPN, all capital letters.
Yep, there you go, guys.
Check it out. Bunch of great stuff on there. I love 901 gear. A lot of great stuff.
Yeah, same here.
But yeah,
definitely missed the store.
I never got to go to the store in person.
It was beautiful.
Was it?
It was beautiful. Yeah, many good times.
Yeah.
Many good times. Oh, well.
All right, what do you have next for us, Brad?
What do I have next for us? Well, I've talked about this. Let's talk about shock a little bit, because that's, again, shock is very serious when we think about any injuries. Again, as I mentioned, we always treat for shock because shock can creep up with every kind of injury, nervous system injuries, bleeding, infections, fractures, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on. So we always treat for shock. So there's a little acronym, TRW. Essentially, you want to treat the cause of the shock. So if they're bleeding, stop the bleed. If they got a broken bone, deal with the broken bone. If they're having breathing problems, treat the breathing problem, whether it's a choking situation, et cetera, et cetera. We want to think about that. So treat the cause of the shock, rest and reassure the casualty. I'll get back to that one in a minute because there's a couple of things you want to think about. And then warm them with a blanket. So these are, this is a Mylar blanket, these little foil emergency blankets. You can get these for like 33 cents at the outdoor store.
Yeah.
They're great. If you're like me and you work weird hours, sometimes you can throw them up in your windows and then your neighbors think that you run a meth operation. That's fun. I had one of these up in my bedroom window for like 2 or 3 years, and it always looked a little weird sometimes. But yeah, TRW, treat the cause of the shock, rest and reassure, and warm them with a blanket. But think about rest and reassurance, right? Like, what is a reassuring thing that you could say to a casualty who has like a really bad bleed? What are some things that you would say? What are some things that you may not want to say?
Hey, I hope you don't die.
I hope they don't die too.
Or tell them, wow, this might be the worst injury I've ever seen. Those are definitely things you wouldn't want to say.
Yeah, you don't want to say stuff like that. I've seen guards, they show up and, it's a kind of a gnarly situation. Not that bad, but it doesn't look good. And the first thing out of their mouth is, wow, that doesn't look good, or wow, that's really bad.
Oh. Carl fainted. He hit the ground hard. I'm really worried about him.
I think he might be in shock, sir.
What do you think you're doing to that casualty if they're bleeding? Their heart rate's going to elevate and they're going to bleed faster and harder.
Yeah.
So we want to think about those things, right? But it's important to think about your communication here. Stay away from things like, and the default that I found from a lot of guys is, hey, it's going to be okay.
We don't know that for sure.
You don't know that. You don't. I've been to calls where things were fine and the guy died. And now I feel awful about it. Right? So you stick with things that are like really reassuring, like, hey, we're here to help. The ambulance is on the way. We've called 911, stuff like that, right? Don't give false reassurances, things that you can't promise, like, hey, it's going to be okay. Unless they have a paper cut, they'll probably be okay with that. I mean, take context where context is due, right?
And don't go overboard. They got a paper cut. I don't need this.
That's right. Probably not necessary for a paper cut.
Yeah.
Neither is this. Neither is I mean, that would be overkill. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
What are you trying to stick in my nose?
No, thanks. Not for a paper cut. Probably not necessary.
And if some of you are wondering what this is, it's made to secure an airway, actually.
Yeah, nasal pharyngeal airway is what it is.
Yeah.
So if somebody's having difficulty breathing, you can slip that into their nose. It's good times.
Make sure you have the training for this before you use it.
And the lube.
You look right here, it's right here. Just as
Lube.
important. By the way, the lube did not come with this when we were issued them after our training. The lube, and as you can see, there's a little tear here, and we put the lube right into the package because it's just as important as the actual hardware.
Yeah.
This one here is actually fitted for me.
Okay. Yeah, I've got one of those. I've got a couple of those in my kits, but yeah, you want to make sure those are very, very vigorously lubed up before you stick that into a conscious person's airway.
So, just to get an idea, all of this goes up their nose. This is what protrudes out of their nose. So, yeah.
Think about that. If you've had a COVID test, that's a lot worse.
Yeah.
It's a lot worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
the COVID test.
A couple of Band-Aids, which normally I'm actually pretty bad at. I'll fill up my kit with stuff for like these traumatic stuff, and I get like a cut, and I'm like, oh, I don't have any Band-Aids. So I've got like.
You know what? I found myself in the same situation, so I make sure that I have just like I'll throw Band-Aids in the back of my memo book. If I'm buying an IFAC, I try to buy ones that just have like a flat, easy little pocket to just throw some extra Band-Aids in.
Yeah, and that's what I have for this one. That's where I kept it. So this is where I kept all the main stuff.
Yeah.
This is the C-Toms, by the way. Slimline, I believe it's called.
Yep.
IFAC. And then it's just got this little pocket right here. And that's where I threw my Band-Aids.
Perfect.
I'll show you guys this real quick, just because I think it looks really cool. So I've got these beads that look sort of like
Pathfinder beads?
Sure.
Yep.
Beads. So you've got this is actually two pieces here. So you've got the part that actually connects to the molly. And then all you gotta do is just pull down on these beads and then pull up and then up and out. So now
Nice.
instead of so obviously this was mounted on our vest at work. Now you've got your IFAC, your hand, a little bit easier to access stuff. And again, you can also just open it without taking it off. You don't have to, but it at least gives you that option. I thought this was pretty cool. I personally thought the beads looked a little funky, but whatever. I mean,
it is what it is.
There, it's it's so you can quickly grab them in a emergency situation.
I was rocking this guy for quite some time. This is the 511 UCR IFAC. I like it because I mean, I have a bit of a medical background. By no means am I a paramedic or anything. I'm very fascinated by it. I teach first aid. I teach a lot of medical stuff. But you'll see this thing is huge. Imagine this mounted to the front of your vest. I'll say it made a very nice armrest when I was going into my interview position. But it didn't get in the way too much. But at the same time, it was a little overkill. But there's a little pocket here in front, which is handy for the extra Band-Aids. And then just tons and tons of room for all kinds of extra stuff. I always keep an extra couple of medical packs in the duty bag as well. And with that, people always laugh, but just carry a couple of stuffies.
Absolutely. I still carry a little stuffed Mountie Moose, RCMP.
Oh, nice.
Yep. And do you want to explain why, or do you want me to?
Yeah. It's a silly story at first. So I used to have this little stuffed pig, and I thought he was adorable. So I just like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to stuff him in the radio pouch of my duty bag. And he was just like my little partner. He'd ride along with me, right? So one day I'm patrolling a park, and this guy's like, oh, hey, my kid banged up his leg really well. Can you help him out? I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I run over to the car, get my duty bag out because I've got all my first aid gear in there. I bring the bag over, set it down, and I'm like, oh, hey, here, you can play with this guy. Busted the pig out, and the kid is like totally distracted with the stuffy, right? Treated the leg, and I'm like, you know what? That stuffy was like $2. The kid can keep it, and now we have like a positive interaction, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, cheap stuffies. I know it sounds ridiculous, but if you're in a position where you're interacting with the community, you want to build bridges with people, right? We're here to help people. We're here to solve problems, so it's something to think about.
Exactly, Sully. You get that joke? You get that?
Yeah. That did not go over my head. I'm probably old enough to be that character.
Solving problems, Bosco. That's what we're doing out here. Solving problems.
You're 100% Sully.
with the old leather belt too.
Oh.
Damn. It's funny I say that too, because I think somebody posted about belts, and I was the only one on there saying, yeah, get a Safariland. It looks nice. My age is showing.
Little 5'5" Charlie.
Yeah.
And another application for those animals is unfortunately more traumatic events, right? You show up and there's a child involved. Say for instance, there was an accident. Both parents are injured. Child maybe not so much injured, but now you're taking care of this child. Very traumatic event. Maybe the stuffed animal might help distract them.
Oh, absolutely. So as a lot of you guys used to know, I used to work with Toronto Police, and they were doing these like hero bear things for a little while.
Absolutely adorable.
I think they're still doing them. I don't know. I was able to get a whole garbage bag full of these things, and anytime I'd be out in the scout car, I'd throw the bag in the trunk. And anytime I came across anything where there was a kid, boom, just tossed him a stuffy.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a good way to take their mind off of the bad thing that was happening. And yeah.
Exactly. And in the end of the day, that's what we're here to do, is to help people, right? And especially in something like that.
Yeah.
I've been in traumatic situations as a kid, and I still remember them. And I kind of wish I had a teddy bear at the time, right? So you want to minimize what you can to the best of your ability.
Yeah. Yeah, lots to think about. We talked a few weeks about mental health and the impacts, and a simple small gesture like that can go a long way for somebody. Yeah. And then they can only see the positive side, that you're really there to help people, right? And that's the narrative that we want to build here, right? We're out there to help people and solve problems.
Yes, Sally.
Yeah. But yeah.
Exactly. Anything else you want to add today, Brad? It's nighttime. Time we're filming.
It is nighttime. No, I think we covered the bases here. I know we could talk about things like how to apply tourniquets, how to I want to stay a little away from that, just for the side of it that it's important to take a proper class. I mean, I could sit here and demo how to properly apply a tourniquet. It's not hard.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But I don't want to do somebody a disservice by, watching a video here. Yeah. I offer this training for free. If you can get down to the GTA, I'm happy to put on, free first aid training. I have no problem doing that.
For sure.
I've offered it in the group. If you're looking for first aid training, hit me up. I will teach it from our point of view and incorporate things like officer safety, radio communication, situational awareness into the program as well, which I don't think a lot of instructors really think about when they're teaching first aid. I'm not trying to brag, but last summer I had a big project at a very large post-secondary institute teaching 80 security professionals, and every single one of them mentioned to me like, hey, I was the first guy that actually thought to show these guys paying attention to your surroundings, paying attention to calling things over the radio, sharing information, and then doing scenarios that relate to the environment in our positions, right? Having to deal with crowd control on top of trying to treat a person, and then thinking about basic investigation as well.
Exactly, and that's sort of a unique situation that a lot of us in the security are put in when we're dealing with medicals. I remember showing up to overdose calls, trying to save someone's life, and his buddy just happened to not be a fan of security, and he's like, get away, we'll take care of this, no, actually, you won't take care of this because I don't think you have any Narcan on you, and I don't think you actually know what you're doing when it comes to that. So I'm going to try to save this guy's life. You need to back up.
Yep.
So, and there's a certain point. Sometimes they just see the uniform. They maybe just think about the last negative interaction they had, and they don't really see that you're just trying to save their friend's life. I'm
Absolutely.
not trying to do anything wrong, right? I'm just trying to help and do my job, right? One thing I will leave people with, nice tip, is obviously there are different ways to stage tourniquet. There are proper ways. There are different proper ways, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not just one.
Yeah, and then there are incorrect ways. If you guys want to know the way I do it, I won't mention it all here, but I will put a link in the description. There's a YouTuber named Prep Medic. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Yeah.
And this is the way he teaches. I really like it. One thing I will mention is when you do pull it apart, you actually have very little of this nub left here. And it's actually very easy to pull it up because there's not much Velcro holding it down. So it's not so much of a trouble to cinch it down. So, so he made a lot of good points there. Like I said, not the only proper way to do it, but that's the way I prefer to stage my tourniquet. On my work one, this is my fun one. It goes on my bag when I go on little walks and hikes and all that stuff. But that's how my work one's staged.
Oh, good. Yeah. That's the one thing about the soft T. I mean, it just sort of folds up. That's really the downside here, right? It is staged, as you'll see. I just have the very little bit here through the buckle, and you just pull and away you go. But outside of that, you just sort of fold it up, right? Something to think about, though, when you're buying your first tourniquet and you're looking for a holster. Now, both John and I, we use the 1110, I think it's Kydex material, which is sort of like a leather, if you're not totally familiar with it. It's a rigid plasticky material. Yeah, basically it's a baked leather, makes it real hard and plasticky. But
I do have a C-Tom's nylon fold-over one on my work vest.
Yeah. I like, whatever case you can get, as long as it's rigid-ish. You want it to be able to survive a career, or at least a few years. You don't want to be replacing that stuff every few years.
That's one thing I'm pretty big on, is when I'm buying work stuff, I probably shell out more money than at least some of my friends understand is reasonable. And honestly, it's because sometimes you got to wear this stuff for a long period of time. If you're doing a 12-hour, 8-hour shift, if I'm going to wear boots, I'm going to be stuck standing for 8 or 12 hours. I'm going to wear the most damn comfortable boots I can find, right?
Absolutely.
And like, I don't know about you, how many other people wear a specific piece of clothing for over 40 hours a week? Very specific. Not saying you swap out your shoes or swap out your jeans. I'm talking about you're wearing, 511 strike pants all the time, right? So if I'm gonna wear this stuff for a long period of time, get into other situations where this might bump up on stuff, but I need it to work perfectly every single time I decide to use that one specific item, I'm going to spend more money on it.
Yeah. So when you're picking your case, so try to pick something that exposes as little of the tourniquet as possible. I like the 1110 cases. If it's fit properly, you're really only getting a little bit of the top that sticks out, and that's fine. But you don't want to expose a lot of it to UV rays. While these things are very heavy duty and very, very well built, the UV rays will break these down.
Yeah.
So, again, things to think about.
One thing I don't like about my 1110 case, and it's actually probably the reason why I don't wear that on my vest, is that this Velcro is exposed, and it's the rough side of the Velcro. So depending on the uniform jacket or the inner liner of the uniform jacket, I had one with like a netted lining, and it just completely tore it up. Depending on the shirt you've got, if you've got something that frays it easily, this just rubbing up against it, probably not the best. I remember there's one company I worked for. Obviously, I'm not going to mention them because of what I'm going to say about their shirts. Probably the worst quality polyester piece of crap I've ever had the misfortune of wearing. You sneeze in that thing wrong and you're getting it frayed. It was terrible. So
brutal.
This was a big no-no to wear in that. And I found that out the hard way when I just wrecked up a sleeve. And all I did was I just went like sort of like that. And then this part rubbed up, and it was terrible. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Obviously, this does kind of mitigate the problem, but defeats the purpose of the use, in my opinion. So when I was talking about when those seconds count. Another thing I do also, when I fold it over, I actually get a little closer to the camera. I actually leave part of this folded over.
Smart.
Just so you have a bit more to grab onto. Honestly, at this point, you can fold it like this. As long as it's not making contact with that, your windlass can go, through it and all that, right? It'll come out. But that's just what I do, just so you get that little extra. Because, I mean, during the initial application of tourniquet, you're not using this. However, afterwards, as Brad was mentioning, it is important to mark the time, right? For so just to make it easier, because it is going to be shock. Obviously, if you're bleeding out, or honestly anyone else bleeding out, it's a stressful situation, right? I've dealt with arrests before where I didn't even think it was stress, and then I'm grabbing their driver's license, and I'm like, what am I, 90? Like, in a stressful situation, even this might be slightly difficult. So may as well make it as easy as possible to use this while you can. So, yeah,
absolutely. No, I wholeheartedly agree. That's a really good idea. The time tag on this is just sort of at the end, which is pretty handy. It's not really the ideal place, but again, easier to use. You don't have to worry about straps or anything. Slides on, pull, and then rotate the windlass.
My first tourniquet was actually a softie.
Okay.
And one thing I did like about them is I found that they just compacted. Like, you can put them into pockets just a little easier. They're more compact. Once I got the cat, that's when I was like, all right, I got to find a case or a pouch for this.
That was my turn off, is just it's so tall, I guess. I mean, I like it for bags, which it's funny. I've got about 8 or 9 of these, and I carry exclusively cat tourniquets in all of my EDC bags. I've only got one SOFT tourniquet, and I keep it on my belt. It's on my duty belt.
And at the end of the day, they're both are great options. There's another brand, right? I forget the name of it. The other type. It looks like a cat, though.
Yeah, there are 2 or 3 of them. And even the SOFT, they've or Softy, however you want to pronounce it, they've recently released a new generation. Sorry, I know my mic is making noise there. You'll see this has got a little triangle just to sort of hook the windlass into. The new generation of this has more little hooks like the cat has.
Okay.
So I kind of want to get one. You can get them in cool guy colors too, like flat dark earth and orange if you're so inclined. So, I mean, I've got an orange cat here, but these are in my EDC bags. I'm not using them for like super secret squirrel tactical applications.
He's lying. He does.
So,
Yeah.
but take a Stop the Bleed course, guys.
Yeah.
Hit John or I up. It's not hard to do. It's not hard to do at all.
Not at all. And it's really important training. And honestly, I don't care if you work at not security, Walmart or literally any job, because there's no job where you're 100% safe from a massive bleeding happen, right?
Yep.
Like working construction. Well, I'm sure we've all heard people have lost limbs, people have had limbs crushed, people have had massive bleeding because of accidents. Just because it's a tactical tourniquet doesn't mean that you have to be using it for super cool, secret, tactical, reasons. Just carry it, right? Like, hell, I wore like 5'11" strike pants, and this is a tactical bag. It's really just a hiking bag for me. So,
yeah.
They're great. And honestly, tactical doesn't mean always law enforcement, military. I find tactical is just very, very practical.
Yeah. I was just going to say that. That's really all it is just something that's practical for regular use.
Yeah.
I've had a few paramedics too that tell me, they advocate for, tourniquets. They carry tourniquets in their rig, but really the big use that you would use it for civilian use or even for our use is amputations. Somebody loses a limb, loses a finger. It's severe hemorrhagic issue.
Absolutely.
That's what it's really for. Other things like, I don't know, projectile wounds, they've been shot or stabbed or something. I mean, stabbed is another story. I'll talk about that a little bit in a different video, I think. But, blast bandage, chest seals go a long way, the C locks. So you have options. You don't have to just always default to that tourniquet.
Exactly.
These are really only appropriate for use on limbs.
Yeah, and not the neck.
Oh. Makes sense. Makes sense. This, however, can be applied around the neck.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't think. Once you open it all the way up, you can basically place the pad on the neck, and then it goes across under the armpit of the other shoulder, right? So if you have a bleed on the neck, the head, the body, the torso, this is long enough to go all the way around the torso several times. So you got options.
Yeah.
Again, the chest seal, the C locks, right? Tons of options, guys.
Yeah. Anyways, that's gonna wrap up our episode. This episode of the Security Pod. Sorry, we were not able to come out with a episode last week. Completely my fault, actually. I got a new puppy, and he's been keeping my hands full. So right now, I found some time for him to sleep. So now I'm filming this. So
that's all right. I think Winston should make an appearance in a photo right around here-ish.
Yes. There, done.
Yeah. Yes.
It'd be really awkward if I forget to put that in. We're just sitting. Okay, done. Yeah.
Where is he?
So yeah, that wraps up this episode of CSPN and the Security Pod through CSPN. I'm a little tired, sorry. So thank you all for watching. I hope you all found this really useful. Again, like we will talk about use of force stuff and powers of arrest and all that stuff. We will talk about that. It's just we mainly try to focus on the stuff that doesn't get talked about, right? No point of us repeating stuff that everyone's already said, unless we have something different to say about it, or maybe a different perspective, which of course we always welcome different perspectives. That's why we have a group. That's why we have a group with 400 and something members. So I love hearing different people's positions on things, and sometimes people are wrong about things, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely okay. We want to help you guys. We want to educate you guys. I certainly enjoy looking at a lot of the threads and going through and seeing what people have to say. And it's been a great ride so far, guys. So again, if you have any questions, you can hit us up in either the comments below or send an email to cspnconnect@gmail.com. And Jonathan and I will be more than happy to assist you with whatever your question is.
Exactly. Thank you very much, everyone, and stay frosty.
Frosty.